Just before I get started, if I could see show of hands, are there any deaf people in the audience? Okay, good. I just don't like my lips being red. So. Anyways, I don't know if you know this, but deaf people, well, they should only have to pay half price for movie tickets. That's what I believe, at least. I mean, maybe it'd be hard to prove, I don't know. But one thing I do know is that deaf people, they're unable to work jobs unless it's second shift. They just wouldn't wake up in time otherwise. So I don't know what an alarm clock for a deaf person looks like. Maybe it's some wires hooked up, maybe a shock, maybe some vibration. But anyhow, I don't know if you've seen these photos, the old style electric chairs, those old wooden rickety things. They just look like they would just take forever. I believe back in those days, there's probably a lot of apology between the executioner and the prisoners, you know. Bzzz. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, you know. I mean, it just seemed like a time-consuming event, you know. But anyhow, you know, I wonder also if homeless people ever by accident try to bum money off of other homeless people, you know. But I tell you what, if you ever do need spare change, you should certainly find a homeless person. They could probably set you up. So. But let's see. So recently, I was asked to house sit. A friend of mine asked me to house sit. I thought this was awfully cocky. I don't know what do you think? Your stuff's better than mine? You know, I don't know. But so I thought, okay, whatever, I'll do it. I agreed to do it. So I had to then go find a friend to house sit for me. He had to find a person to house sit for him. They had to find someone to house sit for them, and so on. You know. Well, I remember when my friend returned, I asked him, I said, how was your vacation? He said, oh man, I wasn't on vacation, I was just simply house sitting. But, I want to ask you a question. How do you all feel about discriminatory, biased, no trespassing signs? I mean really, when was the last time you saw a trespassing sign that had Braille on it? You just don't see them, you know? So, I think no trespassing signs are... They're meaningless. I mean, I think it's implied, right? I mean, do I need to tell you not, if you don't belong to wander into my house? You know, I think maybe that's what the sign should read. No unintentional wandering, you know? I just wonder, you know, oh man, yeah, has this ever been let off in a case of court? You know, hey, there was a lack of sign, you know? I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be in there. That's actually what I would rather do, you know? Like to get busted, instead of breaking and entering, most of the time I think it's the breaking out, you know, the breaking and exiting is where the crime is committed, you know, so. But, anyhow, speaking of Braille, I think it seems very intense, like very, very complicated to learn how to read, but we learn how to do things all the time, so that's not so impressive. However, what I find very impressive is locating it. You know, I walk into a retail store and somewhere in between I have to use the bathroom, so I go to the very back of the store, and as I'm going in, I see the sign designation, you know, I see the Braille there with it, and I think, whew, that's intense, you know. I don't understand how a blind person finds this, you know, they walk in the retail store, the lack of one sense that they, oh yeah, they're this way, you know, and they find their way through the store, you know, and say, oh, okay, I'm here, I know it. How do I know which one? You know, that seems very tricky. There's Braille on elevators. It's on the ATM machines. I know this because I can see it. You know, a blind person pulls up to the ATM and they go to put in their password, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, they go to push 1, you think it's like 1 dot. Instead, it's like a sideways T. I don't know why that is so complicated. But let's see. Even some toilet paper companies have the blind in mind. You ever see this toilet paper? It's so rough, of course. I don't know. Maybe it's a dollar. Anyhow, sometimes in my house, in my bedroom, I try to act blind. You know, I'm like, I know this place. Blind people don't walk like this. But anyhow, you know, I close my eyes. 1, 2. I can never get past 2. It never fails. I peek. I peek something. You know, it's like, I don't know this place. But anyhow, so I'm single. No surprise, but that's the jokes. No, I'm kidding. Anyhow, so I am single. My friends are starting to feel sorry for me. So one of them set me up on a blind date recently. I was super nervous about this. I thought, oh no, I'm going to become a conversation pieces. What am I going to talk about? You know, the weather, careers, sports, those types of issues. You know, I like sports. was watching this fishing program, and I caught the very end, the weigh-in. Remember the commentator said, "Oh, this is very hard to do at his age of 62. Maybe it's true. Who knows? So anyways, I like baseball. I liked it better when there was cheating. I like hockey. You've got ultimate fighting, figure skating, and soccer all at once. I love soccer. It's like a soap opera. You know, you've got the competition and terrible acting. You know, that's so. I do love soap operas. That's something that could use an investigation. You know, Sammy from The Biggest Loser, she's been on Days of Our Lives for like 25 years. I know since I've been a child, she looks exactly the same to this day. So they could use a federal investigation. But, you know, when I'm on this blind date, what I'm really thinking, I'm looking at this woman, I'm thinking, what are our kids going to look like? That's really what I'm thinking. You know, people say, oh, that baby looks just like their mother, just like their father. I can never see the, you know, the comparisons. Unless, like a normal-sized baby was born by like a midget woman, then I see it immediately. You know, I was like, oh, that makes perfect. You know, and that's another thing it brings to me. I always wonder, where are the teenage midgets? I never see them. I think they go from like babies to full-grown adult midgets. Speaking of which, just how small are those babies? I don't know. I mean, it's some small babies, but anyhow. So I got nervous, you know, I get nervous on the date, I talk with my hands, you know, I'm thinking to myself, oh man, if my friend had set me up on a death date, man, I could gesture all night long, you know, I could handle that, but instead it was a blind date, so. Took her to McDonald's, I didn't think she would know the difference, she didn't. But at McDonald's they have a Braille menu, I'm not kidding, okay, so I just use my imagination, I try to see this at the drive-thru. Yeah, welcome to McDonald's, how can I help you? Yeah, you can help me, but could you please tell me, are there any cars between you and me? So, Braille is everywhere, and you'll know this one. You're driving down the interstate and you're texting on your telephone, you're talking to your friend, your girlfriend, your husband, whatever, you know, that's safe, so that's why you're doing it. But anyhow, what happens? You know, you're on the Braille road. I mean, the department's it's maybe possible for blind people to drive New England down to Florida on the Braille road. All right, thanks a lot.